They tell you becoming yourself is a journey of self-discovery, a path to happiness and freedom. But nobody tells you the truth. Jung understood that becoming yourself is not a path of ease, but what he called a necessary suffering, a confrontation with truths most people avoid. It's the slow dismantling of everything you thought you had to be. And while it leads somewhere extraordinary, the discomfort is so profound that most people turn back. Let's walk through what really happens when you drop the mask. Because the journey to becoming yourself doesn't start with liberation. It starts with losing everything. From the moment you were a child, you learned a simple truth. Be good, and you will be loved. Be quiet, and you will be safe. Smile when they want you to smile. Apologize when they need someone to blame. This is what Carl Jung called the persona, the mask you wear to survive in a world that only loves you when you fit the mold. The mask starts innocently enough. You're the good child who never talks back, the perfect student who never asks too many questions, the reliable employee who never says no. You become what they need you to be because the alternative is too terrifying. If you show them who you really are, the messy, complicated, imperfect truth of you, what if they walk away? So you keep wearing the mask, day after day, year after year. And for a while, it works. You get the approval, the promotions, the compliments. People tell you how well you're doing, how put together you are, how much they admire your calm and strength. But underneath, something else is happening. The real you, the person you buried to keep everyone else comfortable, is suffocating. You feel it in the quiet moments, the ones where you're alone and the performance finally stops. There's a heaviness in your chest that won't go away. A voice that whispers, "This isn't your life. You're living someone else's story." And the mask, the one that protected you for so long, is getting heavier every single day. You start to notice the cracks. Maybe it's burnout that hits you out of nowhere. One day you wake up and realize you can't pretend anymore. The smile you've been forcing feels like a lie. The conversations you've been having feel empty. You've been running on autopilot for so long that you don't even know what you want anymore. The burnout isn't just tiredness. It's a bone, deep exhaustion that comes from spending years pretending to be someone you're not. Your body starts to rebel. Headaches that won't go away. A tightness in your chest that makes it hard to breathe. An overwhelming need to escape that has nowhere to go, because the thing you need to escape from is your own life. You find yourself crying for no reason, or maybe for every reason you've been holding back for years. The tears come when you're alone, in the shower, in your car, in those moments when the mask finally comes off and you feel the weight of what you've been carrying. Or maybe it's betrayal. Someone you trusted, someone you gave everything to, shows you who they really are. And suddenly, you see it. They didn't love you. They loved the version of you that made their life easier. The moment you stopped being useful, they disappeared. Or maybe it's just time. You hit a milestone, a birthday, an anniversary, and you realize you've spent your entire life living for other people. And now, standing at the edge of your own existence, you can't name a single thing you did for yourself. This is the moment Jung called the confrontation with the shadow. When the mask starts to slip, the first thing you see isn't freedom, it's darkness. The shadow is everything you hid to be acceptable, the anger you swallowed to keep the peace, the ambition you buried to avoid being called selfish, the sadness you suppressed because nobody wanted to deal with your pain. The shadow is every part of you that didn't fit the image you were supposed to project. It's the wildness you tamed, the opinions you silenced, the dreams you abandoned because someone told you they were unrealistic. It's the version of you that wanted to scream when you smiled instead. the version that wanted to run when you stayed, the version that knew the truth but pretended not to see it. And here's what makes the shadow so terrifying. It's not evil. It's not wrong. It's just real. It's the authentic human emotions and desires you were taught to be ashamed of. Society told you that anger makes you difficult, that sadness makes you weak, that wanting more makes you ungrateful. So you pushed it all down into the basement of your psyche and pretended it didn't exist. But Jung taught that the shadow holds more than just darkness. Buried alongside your anger is your unlived creativity, your untapped power, your authentic instincts. The shadow isn't just what society rejected in you, it's what you rejected in yourself to survive. But the shadow doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It grows, it festers, it leaks out in passive-aggressive comments, in unexplained anxiety, in relationships that mysteriously follow the same destructive patterns. You thought you were protecting yourself by hiding these parts, but you were actually giving them power over you. And now, as the mask cracks, all of it comes flooding back. You realize you've been lying to yourself for years. You told yourself you were fine, that you didn't need more, that this was enough, but it wasn't. It was survival. And survival is not the same as living. The shadow shows you every compromise you made, every time you said yes when you meant no, every dream you gave up to make someone else comfortable, every piece of yourself you sacrificed on the altar of being acceptable. And the weight of it, the cumulative cost of a lifetime of self-betrayal, is crushing. The worst part? When you start to change, empaths aren't broken, they're alchemists in progress. The Alchemist's Path gives you drills, Jung-based boundaries, and 3 exclusive chapter videos to turn overwhelm into clarity. By Surreal Mind, 236-page downloadable ebook, in stock. Begin now at thesurrealmind.com. The people around you get uncomfortable. They don't want you to drop the mask, because your mask made their life easier. When you were the peacemaker, they didn't have to deal with conflict. When you were the caretaker, they didn't have to take care of themselves. When you were the yes person, they didn't have to hear the word no. But Jung knew the real battle isn't just with other people. It's with the part of yourself that desperately wants to stay safe and liked, the part that would rather keep pretending than risk being truly seen. So when you finally start saying no, when you finally start setting boundaries, when you finally stop apologizing for existing, they don't celebrate your growth. They punish you for it. They call you selfish. They say you've changed, and not in a good way. They accuse you of being cold, distant, difficult. And the tragic irony is that they're right. You have changed. Because the version of you they loved was never real. It was a performance, and you're done performing. This is the social cost of becoming yourself. You lose people, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because they only ever loved the mask, not the person underneath it. And when the mask comes off, they realize they don't actually know you at all. Some of them will try to pull you back. They'll guilt you, manipulate you, remind you of all the times you were there for them. They'll make you feel like you're the problem, like you're abandoning them by choosing yourself. And for a moment, you'll wonder if they're right. Maybe you are being selfish. Maybe you should just go back to the way things were, but you can't, because once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it, and going back to the mask now would feel like dying. This is the internal war, the battle between who you were told to be and who you actually are. It feels like something inside you is being ripped apart because it is. You're mourning the death of your old self, the version of you that kept everyone else happy while slowly erasing your own existence. Every morning you wake up and the war begins again. Part of you wants to go back. back to the certainty of the mask, back to knowing your role, back to the predictable comfort of being what everyone expected. That part of you whispers that this journey isn't worth it, that you're hurting people, that you're being selfish and destructive. But there's another part, quieter at first, but growing stronger every day. This part knows the truth. It knows that going back isn't safety, it's surrender. It knows that the people you're supposedly hurting were only comfortable because you were uncomfortable. It knows that choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. The war plays out in your body. You feel it in the tension in your shoulders from holding yourself back, in the headaches from overthinking every decision, in the exhaustion that sleep can't fix because it's not physical, tiredness. It's the fatigue of fighting yourself every single day. You catch yourself mid-sentence, about to apologize for something that doesn't need an apology. You stop yourself from saying yes to something you know you should decline. You feel the old patterns trying to reassert themselves, the muscle memory of people pleasing kicking in automatically. And each time, you have to consciously choose differently. Each time, you have to fight. This is what Jung meant when he said individuation requires tremendous psychological energy. You're literally rewiring decades of conditioning. You're teaching yourself a new way to exist in the world, and your nervous system, trained to equate approval with survival, is screaming at you that this is dangerous. And then comes the darkest moment, the point where you've lost the mask, but haven't yet found yourself. You're standing in the void between who you were and who you're becoming, and it feels like you're nobody at all. This is what the mystics called the dark night of the soul, the moment where everything you identified with has dissolved and nothing has yet taken its place. This is where most people break, where they run back to the familiar prison of the mask, because at least there they knew who they were supposed to be. The void is terrifying because it offers no instructions, no map, no guarantee. But if you can stay in this space, if you can resist the urge to fill it with a new mask, something miraculous happens. The void becomes a womb. And from that emptiness, your true self begins to emerge. And it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like falling apart. It feels like everything you built your life on was a lie. And now you're standing in the rubble, trying to figure out who you even are without the mask. Some days, you can barely recognize yourself. The person staring back from the mirror looks familiar, but feels like a stranger. Because you're not who you were, but you're not yet who you're becoming. You're in the space between, and that space is terrifying. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming a whole, integrated person. But he never sugarcoated it. He knew it was genuinely brutal. He knew it required you to face the parts of yourself you've been running from your entire life. He knew most people would turn back. Most people do turn back. They pick up the mask, dust it off, and put it back on. They tell themselves it's easier this way, safer this way. And maybe it is. But safe is not the same as truly alive. And for those who keep walking, who refuse to go back, something incredible happens. You stop apologizing for your existence. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You stop pretending to be someone you're not, just to avoid conflict. And in that moment, something shifts. The weight you've been carrying your entire life, the exhaustion of maintaining a performance that was never yours to begin with, it starts to lift. You begin to see the truth with absolute clarity. The mask wasn't protecting you. It was a prison, and the moment you take it off, you realize you were never the problem. The problem was a world that told you being yourself was too much. But you're not too much. You're exactly enough. And the people who can't handle the real you were never your people to begin with. They were only comfortable with the performance, never with the truth. This is the climax of the journey, The moment when you stop fighting yourself and start accepting yourself. Not the sanitized, polished version you showed the world. The whole version, the light and the dark, the strengths and the flaws, the beauty and the mess. Jung called this the integration of the self. It's the profound moment when you stop being at war with who you are and start embracing it fully. You stop hiding your anger and learn to use it as fuel. You stop suppressing your sadness and let it teach you empathy. You stop pretending to be perfect and accept fully that you're human. Integration doesn't mean becoming a different person. It means becoming genuinely whole. You don't eliminate your shadow. You acknowledge it deeply. You integrate it. The anger you've been suppressing contains information about your boundaries. The sadness you've been hiding holds the key to your compassion. You start to see that every quality you rejected in yourself was rejected because someone else couldn't handle it. Your intensity made comfortable people uncomfortable. Your sensitivity was a superpower that threatened those who lived on the surface. The integration happens in layers. First, you acknowledge what you've hidden. Then you examine why. Then you slowly begin to express it authentically in the world. And here's what nobody tells you about this moment. When you integrate your shadow, when you accept the parts of yourself you spent your whole life rejecting, you become dangerous. In the best possible way. You become unmanipulatable, because people can only control you when you need their approval. The moment you stop needing it, their power over you disappears. You see through lies instantly. You spot manipulation before it takes root. You recognize emotional games and refuse to play them. You become clear-sighted. The fog that clouded your vision for years, the confusion about who you were and what you wanted, it vanishes. You know what you stand for. You know what you will and won't tolerate. You know your worth, and you don't negotiate it anymore. And you become powerful. Not in the loud, aggressive way the world usually defines power, but in the quiet, unshakable way of someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to apologize for it. You walk into rooms differently. You speak differently. People feel it, even if they can't name it. This is the birth of the true self, not the self that was molded by trauma, shaped by fear, or built to please others. The self that was always there, buried under years of conditioning and compromise. The self that is uniquely, unapologetically, undeniably you. And when this self emerges, everything changes, not in a dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small ways. You start noticing things you never noticed before. The way certain people drain you. The way certain environments make your skin crawl. The way certain activities light you up. You develop a profound inner stability. You become resistant to manipulation. Someone tries to guilt you, and instead of absorbing it, you recognize it for what it is. You don't get angry. You don't defend yourself. You simply don't engage. You stop taking things personally because you understand that how people treat you says everything about them. When someone projects their insecurities onto you, you can see it clearly. You don't need to convince them otherwise. And the most beautiful part? You stop attracting people who need you to wear a mask. You start attracting people who want to know the real you. The messy, complicated, beautifully imperfect version of you that you spent so long hiding. It's like your energy shifts, and suddenly you're vibrating at a different frequency, one that repels pretense and attracts authenticity. Your relationships change. They go deeper because you're no longer performing. You're being. And the people who stay, the ones who love this version of you, they're not loving a fantasy, they're loving the truth. And that kind of love, the kind that sees all of you and chooses you anyway, is the only kind worth having. The quality of your connections transforms. You stop having surface friendships built on shared complaints. You start attracting people who can handle depth, who want real conversation. These relationships feel different, lighter, even though they go deeper. Your work changes completely. You stop doing things out of obligation and start doing things that align with who you are. You stop saying yes to opportunities that drain you and start choosing what truly excites you. You make decisions faster because you're no longer running them through the filter of what others will think. You know what matters to you, and choices that used to paralyze you for weeks become clear in moments because you're finally consulting your own internal compass. Your inner world changes. The constant noise, the endless self-criticism, the exhausting cycle of doubt and fear, it quiets down. You stop questioning every decision, stop second-guessing every choice. You trust yourself because you finally know yourself. This is what happens after the pain. This is the life that's waiting on the other side of the mask. A life that actually belongs to you. Not your parents' life, not your boss's life, not society's life. Yours. But here's the truth Jung understood that most people miss. The pain is the breaking of the shell. It's the cracking open of a life that was too small for you. And yes, it hurts. It hurts more than anything you've ever experienced. But the pain isn't the enemy. The pain is the birth. You can't become yourself without destroying who you were pretending to be. You can't step into your power without releasing the need to be powerless. And most people never make it because they can't handle the destruction. They see the crumbling of their old life and think something's gone wrong. They don't realize that everything is going exactly right. The demolition is necessary. You can't build a foundation on lies and expect it to hold. The truth is, becoming yourself costs you everything that isn't you. It costs you the approval of people who only liked your mask. It costs you relationships built on your willingness to shrink. It costs you opportunities that required you to be someone else. It costs you the comfortable numbness of autopilot living. But what you lose was never really yours to begin with. Those relationships were with a ghost. That approval was for a performance. Those opportunities were for someone who didn't exist. What you gain is something no one can take from you. Yourself. Whole, real, undeniable. And once you have that, once you know who you are and stop apologizing for it, everything you lost was just clearing space for what actually belongs. So if you're in the middle of it right now, if you feel like you're falling apart, if the mask is slipping and you're terrified, let me tell you something important. You're not falling apart. You're falling together. The pieces you thought you lost were never yours. The people who walked away were never meant to stay. What's happening to you isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. And the person you're becoming is the person you were always meant to be. The pain of becoming yourself is real. It's not a metaphor. Jung himself said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." It's the actual physical, emotional agony of shedding a skin you've worn for so long that you forgot it wasn't you. It's the grief of losing people who only loved your mask. But on the other side of that pain is a life so vivid, so real, so undeniably yours that you'll wonder how you ever survived without it. You'll look back at the person you used to be, and you'll feel something unexpected, not regret, gratitude, because that version of you brought you here, to this moment, to this truth, to yourself. And now that you're here, you realize what Joseph Campbell, the great mythologist inspired by Jung, once said. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who they wanted, not who they expected. You, raw, real, unfiltered, free. This is the life that's waiting for you. But you have to be willing to walk through the fire. You have to be willing to lose everything that isn't real to find yourself. So if you're standing at the edge right now, if you're holding the mask in your hands and wondering if you're brave enough to drop it, the answer is yes, you are. And the world doesn't need another person pretending. It needs you, the real you. The journey won't be perfectly linear. There will be days when you slip back into old patterns. Days when the mask feels easier than raw vulnerability. That's normal. Becoming yourself isn't about perfection. It's about direction. Drop the mask. Walk through the fire. Become yourself. Because the pain is temporary, but the prison of pretending lasts forever. You were born to be free, and freedom starts the moment you stop being who they need and start being who you are. If this resonated with you, if you're on this journey or about to start it, subscribe. Because the path of becoming yourself is one we walk together. In The Alchemist's Path, perception training for empaths, you'll turn overwhelm into wisdom with practical drills, Jung-inspired boundaries, and step-by-step perception training. This guide includes 3 exclusive chapter videos to deepen each lesson. Written by Surreal Mind, 236 pages, beautifully designed 8.5 by 11 downloadable ebook, in stock now. Start your training today. Feel deeply while thinking clearly. Get The Alchemist's Path at thesurrealmind.com.